Welcome to the Crush Cravings with Confidence podcast. I'm Coach Lisa Callahan, a recovered emotional eater. I ended decades of self-inflicted struggles with food through taking a journey of self-discovery, which revealed the secrets of what was going on underneath the food. Throughout this podcast, we'll explore topics that are rarely talked about, like low self-esteem, lack of confidence, people-pleasing, and decades of self-sabotaging behaviors. Rather than just focusing on the food, we'll dive deeper into aspects of who you are as a person and how you ended up relying on food for comfort to begin with. My mission is simple: to empower women to regain their confidence and prioritize self-love, regardless of the number on the scale. Discover what you've really been craving, and trust me, it's not about the food. This podcast is based on insights shared from the Women's Emotional Eating Community Support Group on Facebook, so be sure to check out the show notes for the link to the group and a complimentary gift just for you. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to another fun and insightful episode of the Crush Cravings with Confidence podcast. The topic today is, how can I stop following the food rules? This topic is near and dear to my heart since I spent a lot of time following food rules. So to unfollow them and give myself the freedom to choose what I wanted to eat without having to think of a plan or calculate every second of my day when it came to food felt really scary and uncomfortable to me at first. So not only did I follow the rules for about 30 years, I also diet hopped. So I didn't just have one diet's rules in my mind. I had all the diet rules in my mind. Anything that I had ever heard, I put into my memory. This left me with a heap of fear since so many diets out there contradict one another. The world of nutrition, dieting, and food rules has become incredibly complex. From my studies at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, I learned that nutrition can be confusing. Now, I definitely knew this already, but I just believed everything that I read. So even if the things that the author or the podcaster or whatever the article that I was reading was talking about contradicted, I just stacked it onto my memory as like another rule that I had to remember. So nutrition is one of the only sciences where two experts can present solid evidence and yet completely contradict one another. In most areas of science, there's agreement of some kind. We all accept that the speed of light is about 670 million miles per hour. Gravity pulls all matter together, and water is H2O, 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. But when it comes to nutrition, one expert says that dairy is essential for health, while the other says it's harmful. One claims that meat is necessary for the human body, and another insists that it's dangerous and unnecessary. So how can this be? How can both sides be backed by science, yet be so opposite? So if you ever found yourself going in circles of confusion, frustration, and absolute failure when it comes to what diet to be on, this episode is for you. Back when I was on the rigid food rule train, I'd often tell myself that I was either on a specific diet or I was not. And there was no in between. And there was also no rhyme or reason to the consciousness about what I was doing. Like, I just have to stop and ponder what was going on in my head back then. Like, in what planet did I think that it was going to be okay to stay on, let's say, a mixture of water, lemons, and maple syrup for 5 straight days in a row, only to spend the next 10 days binging on cookies and M&Ms and pizza? Here I was claiming that I wanted to eat perfectly, always wanting to look better and feel better in my own skin. But what I was really doing was so dangerously harmful because it was seriously uncaring about myself. I contradicted myself on every single step of the way because on one hand, when I'm feeding myself some kind of drink or shake or bar or pill, I was actually teaching myself that I couldn't be trusted. On the flip side of that, I went nuts like a kid in a candy store. And so I proved to myself that I couldn't be trusted over and over and over again. Because there was this side of me that really did want to take good care of myself. I was just preaching what I heard. So I learned all of these nutrition rules thinking, oh, wow, this is smart. And like, I'll be the one to teach everybody else this. And I did because I was a personal fitness trainer and a nutrition coach. So I actually taught people what I had memorized. But then there was this other side of me, this secret side of me, the side of me that I never showed anybody. And that side of me was screaming, get it all in while you can, all while I was ignoring those diet rules. But I never let anybody but me see that side of me. And I tried so hard to keep it all zipped up inside of me that it's no wonder it came pouring out. This was self-sabotaging behavior. And at the time, I just couldn't see between the lines yet. And I say yet because there was growth potential for me then as much as there is for you now. There is so much more to discover and so much room for personal growth and development. And that's what I want to teach you. And that's what I teach my students who now work with me in Crush That Food Thing self-discovery system. So if you ever found yourself flip-flopping from one diet to another, memorizing food rules, or torturing yourself by starving yourself one day, only to judge yourself the next for eating just a half a candy bar or a couple of chips, and then using that as a launch pad to flip yourself into an all or nothing mindset, only to lock yourself up a week later on a strict food prison. You've got to hear me out. I know that this seems confusing, and I know that it doesn't seem fixable. Just hang out with me for a little bit, and I'm going to teach you why you're wrong about that. Because the solution for this is actually easy, but I have to admit, it's not obvious. Until you know what you're looking for and what you're going to want to stay away from, you're probably going to feel confused and frustrated and stuck. And you might keep saying, all right, I don't know, I can't deal with this now. I'll just start again on Monday, or I'll be happy when. And you're going to say that for the rest of your life. And that's so sad, because what I know now is that there is so much more to life to explore than what your next meal is going to look like or how many calories you burn today. There's a whole new version of you just waiting for you to unlock the gates to this personal justice food prison that you've been living in and claim your ticket to freedom. When I say personal justice system, yeah, that's what I mean, a jail that you put yourself in. And you're judging yourself and shaming yourself and blaming yourself and guilting yourself and living in regret. That part is all on you. And we have the keys to help set you free. So stick around. Today, we're going to talk about something that quietly runs the show for so many people, especially for those of us who have dieted for years and that have that diet mentality memorized like it's taped on the inside of your eyelids. Today, we're going to be busting through all of the paradigms, breaking all the rules, and setting yourself free from the narrow-minded thinking that's been keeping you stuck for decades. This episode is all about helping you spot it, challenge it, and change it. You must give yourself permission to start to memorize a new version of yourself who never has to think about food rules simply because she knows herself and can hear what her body wants and trust that this future version of you never, ever has to live on a diet. She's simply able to make moment by moment micro decisions that align with her best interest. And she doesn't have to explain her decision. She has no reason to feel guilty. And she definitely never uses food to punish or judge herself. She's confident and comfortable in her own skin. She is you, the future you, who has much more important things to think about than food rules. Trust me, there's a whole new world to explore, and it's waiting for you. I always tell people, you deserve to live an extraordinary life, where food and food rules no longer invade any of your thoughts. All right, let's dive in. So, first, we're going to be talking about the diet mentality. What do I mean when I say diet mentality? So, this is the internal voice in the back of your head that says, you're being bad if you eat this, or oh, you already blew it, so you might as well just keep eating, or you'll be so happy when you lose the weight. You'll actually spend hours of your time looking at your calendar, actually thinking to yourself, okay, well, if I lose 2 pounds per week, and then I do this amount of things for every day, how much weight will I have lost by 4 months from now? And you'll actually spend all that time calculating and looking and doing and buying foods and then throwing them away and buying quick fixes and meal plans and all the things that just don't work, because those things are all part of the problem. The diet mentality has you locked into numbers on the scale, points, calories, your size, and the belief system that your body is a problem that has to be fixed. And there's a tricky part here. Even if you're not on a formal diet anymore, because you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, the diet mentality can still run the show in the background, because that little voice might show up as guilt after eating something that you knew before was not on your food list. Or you could develop a fear on social events because you're afraid that, well, if I go on this, cruise or something, like, what am I going to eat? Or I'm going to overeat. Or like, even if you're just tired of being on a diet and you're like, I don't even deal with that anymore, those food rules could still be running the show in the background. And then you might have to be all stressed out about the food options. And, you might be thinking ahead, being like, oh my gosh, like, I've got this wedding to go to and I don't follow any diet anymore. And so what am I going to do? How am I going to lose the weight? Like, you might be freaking out based on the old, food rules that are still running the show in your head. Or you have some kind of delayed happiness going on, AKA, I'll be happy when I lose the weight. And this keeps you stuck in a pattern and habit where you cannot be happy now, but because you're so sick and tired of being on the diets, you're just like, to heck with it. So then you just accept that, well, I guess I'm never going to be happy because I don't want a diet and I can't be happy in this body, period. And that's sad, because if you don't know how to get out of this diet mentality, let's be very clear. You're gonna have to get ahead of those thoughts, period, end of story. Instead of monitoring your calories, why don't you make certain that you start to monitor every thought that comes to your mind and decide for yourself if that thought is adding value to your life as a human being. When you're on a diet train, you're a human doing, not a human being. There's two different things that go into that, right? When you are being, you just get to be, and you make good decisions for yourself simply because you love yourself and you like yourself as you would a friend. When you're a human doing, someone else has to tell you what you're supposed to do and think about and plan. And so then you actually lose trust with yourself. And this means that all of your thoughts have to be monitored. You're going to have to build up your confidence now, so that way you can start that way you can stop tearing yourself apart. And in order to do this efficiently, you're going to have to start asking yourself individual questions based on individual thoughts. So every thought that comes to your head, you're going to have to ask yourself, is this thought meant to help me grow, or is this thought meant to keep me stuck? So that way you can get a clear understanding of which thoughts you're going to be able to keep because they're adding value to your life, and which thoughts have to go. I'll give you an example. I used to think all the time, well, I'm never going to be happy with my body. That's a pretty serious thought. This thought leads to a dead end because there's no room for growth. Because in order to keep that thought, like if that thought gets to stay, you're going to have to do things to make that thought come true. Like you literally can't have that thought and then perhaps lose 5 pounds and then feel a bit happy about yourself and your appearance and what you've done. Like you can't actually keep it because, there's that thought in the back of your head that says, I'll never be happy with my body. So even when you lose weight and you start to feel like, wow, look at me, I was pretty proud of myself. I only had one slice of pizza, and like, or I went on a cruise and like I didn't even eat. Like I felt really good. And I actually lost weight while I was on vacation. If you still keep the thought in the back of your head that you're never going to be happy with your body, well, then losing that weight and feeling happy with yourself, you can't. You literally will have to sabotage something quickly to be able to match the original thought that's inside of your head. And because that thought ends up being a root. And so you'll have to first remove that thought. And once you do, I promise you will start to feel so much lighter in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit, to the point where you're going to start to make really good decisions that are going to lead you towards a lower number on the scale. But the lower number on the scale part isn't the goal. The deciding that I am happy with my body right now, I want to be happy with my body, I can be happy with my body, I am connected with my body, like those thoughts are adding value. Because if those are true and you have to prove those to yourself, that you're happy, that you're content, that you feel good, well, then you're going to make decisions when you start to go in for the, second or third piece of pound cake or whatever. You're going to be like, I'm actually happy with myself and my body. And like, if I eat that cake, I'm probably going to feel disgusting. I'm not going to feel good, but I do feel good and I don't want to take that away. Right. And so the importance of you feeling good will come as a higher priority than just being like, who cares? Nobody cares about me anyways. Or I'm never going to look good in this body. Who cares? What's the difference? Right. And do you see the difference? Like, you have to shift the perspective. And you also have to make certain that you're not paying attention too much to the underlying problem, which is where you're going to have to monitor your internal dialogue and make sure that that internal dialogue is supporting your best interest. We're going to have to fix that first. And that way you can be on a clear path towards your healing journey. Now, I know this might seem hard since you've never done it before. So let me give you a quick quote to jot down. You'll be happy, life said, but first, I will make you strong. And so, yes, this does take some vigilance. But the thing is that as it stands now, you're vigilantly counting calories, you're writing stuff down, you're creating a food journal, you're getting, calendars to look up dates to make sure that, if you lose 2 pounds a week, that you're going to be this certain weight by this certain date. And you're spending a lot of time doing stuff like that anyways. So what's the difference? Why don't you just switch the method and see what happens? Because if this way that you were navigating through things was working for you long term, it worked already. So you can't keep going back in and doing the same thing and the same thing and the same thing and then expecting that some day it's going to work. It's not working. Period. Look in the mirror, look into your eyes, and say to yourself, okay, this is madness. This is not working. Time for a change. Because when you're focusing your energy on tearing yourself down, it's like strengthening the weakest part of yourself, the weakest version of yourself. And it's not going to work. Period. End of story. You must take life, your life, into your own hands because you are the most important person in your universe. So if you're putting all this attention towards tearing yourself down, you're going to want to have to change that just 1% more than you don't. You have got to want that feeling from the inside, that feeling of self-acceptance and love and belonging. You've got to want that more than you fear not having it. I know so many people, I know myself included. I used to be like, well, but if I don't track everything, I know myself, I'm just going to fall off the rails. I was falling off the rails anyways, period. So it wasn't working. You have to want to change more than you fear it. And you've got to embrace the idea that you are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you think. Most women I work with aren't just self-sabotaging through using dieting rules. They're also self-sabotaging by relying on hope too much, hoping that the next plan will fix everything, hoping that by being smaller, they'll finally be happy or in control. The truth, you cannot just hope for things to change. You must be the change. And that's going to take trust, compassion, and curiosity. And if you want to learn a little bit more about curiosity and why it's so important, then go check out episode 18, where I talk about levels of awareness. And hint, you're going to want to be curiously aware or self-aware. That's the place to be. So let's get curious and help by giving you 3 steps that you're going to have to take to start loosening the grip of the diet mentality. All right, here we go. These are the 3 steps that I give to my clients, in addition to other steps, but these are 3 really important ones. When you hear that old familiar voice saying, you blew it, or you knew better, followed by, oh, well, whatever, you already screwed up, you just do it tomorrow, who cares? Just take a pause. Just wait a second. Give yourself 3 breaths. Literally just be like, okay, wait. That's a diet thought. That's a diet mentality thought. I don't have to believe that anymore. And so just admit that you said it or you did it or you whatever, just admit it and be okay with it for a minute. And then just recognize it with awareness. Be like, wait a minute. It's one of those diet mentality thoughts. No, wait. I don't have to think this anymore. Awareness is the key to change. It's like giving yourself a personal power pass that only you get to use. This is not advice from someone else. This is advice from you to you, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks you should do. It doesn't matter what anybody gives you advice. And honestly, it doesn't matter what you think another person should do either. If you're spending too much time thinking about what another person's doing and then getting frustrated with why they're not listening to you, why they're not taking your advice, turn the mirror inward. So you're the only one sitting inside of your own head, and you do have the power to choose your next thought. And you also have the power to change any thought that is meant to hurt you. You might not be able to change something that someone outside of you says, but you definitely have the ability to change your own thoughts for yourself. So start becoming aware of your thoughts so you can basically notice where you're leading yourself away from the best version of yourself. All right, number 2, ask yourself what you're really craving. And this diet mentality focuses on only what you're eating. That's what diet mentalities do. A lot of times, even advice from a, emotional eating coach might say, like, sit down before you eat and think to yourself, what am I feeling right now? I'm sorry, it's just not okay. That is not helpful at all, period. Because, the thoughts that come into your head, they might not actually have anything to do with what's going on right at that moment. It's more the things that are happening after the moments. The emotional freedom comes from exploring what is the result that you end up with that is mismatched from what you say you want. Because if you sit there at your kitchen table and you're craving chocolate and you're like, what am I feeling right now? It doesn't matter, because that will end up becoming a habit, and you'll just keep reinforcing the things that, don't make you feel great. Like, oh, I was alone on Christmas, or I, lost a close family member, or like, wow, it's been 3 days since my child has called me, or like, you'll just start thinking about reasons, you'll come up with them of why you have to feel sad or lonely or depressed or disappointed or uncomfortable or angry with yourself or regretful. Like, you'll just come up with those things. It's actually like a trigger. It'll actually give you a reason to be like, oh, well, of course I want to eat. This is how I feel. And so that's not helpful. You want to go after. So exploring what comes after looks like this. Ask yourself, what is the thought that typically comes into my head after there's a first thought that gets me to eat? So even if you have to do it as an experiment, to be like, okay, wait, I had a thought, said I can't help myself. I ate. I thought, oh, this is going to make me feel better. So that was the initial thought. And then afterwards, I felt disgusting, disappointed, regretful, whatever. Write that down. That's what we're looking for. So use the tools here, see it on paper. Then before you eat next time, just write this down. Write down your name, followed by, after you eat this, you are going to feel like, literally tell yourself, because preliminarily you're telling yourself, oh, I'm going to feel better. I call BS. You're not going to feel better. You're going to feel like this. You're going to feel guilty, ashamed, disappointed, sad, because guess what? That's what you always feel like. So it's no mystery, Scooby. It's just plain and simple facts. So write it down for yourself so that you remember. Get ahead of those feelings. And so after you write that down, you're going to write down, why do you think you're craving guilt, disappointment, sadness, regret, whatever? And then even if you don't know why, that's okay. Just write down, is that what you want? And write the word want in capital letters, WANT, circle it, underline it, highlight it. I don't care what you have to do. Make sure that you understand that if you choose now to go ahead and eat that thing, then you are admitting wholeheartedly that you want that feeling. You want guilt, you want sadness, you want disappointment, you want regret, whatever it is that you're feeling after, you want that. And so there's something around this. A lot of times we can convince ourselves, well, but I'm soothing myself, but I feel comfortable. I don't think anything, Lisa. Great. Wait 2 days. Go ahead and put your pants on 2 days later and see that they're tight. Step on the scale. What do you feel then? Guess what? That's all tied in to that decision that you made. So even if it's not obvious, search, get curious, understand yourself, look at the bigger picture, zoom out, and then see what your hand writes down. If you write, is that what you want? Do you want to feel this way? See what your hand writes down. If it's yes, you go ahead and eat the thing. You planned it. You know it's happening. You're doing that. And just admit that you're making a conscious decision. And then the next time that happens, you'll have the ability to make another conscious decision again and again and again. So if the decision that you're making leads you to feel badly about yourself, at least you're aware enough to recognize that you're choosing to self-sabotage. And then you'll be given another opportunity after that to be able to get in front of it and be like, wait a minute, stop. Because just like you wouldn't consciously put your hand on a burning stove over and over and over again, like eventually you're going to admit that you're not willing to hurt yourself anymore. And once that awareness clicks in, boom, something will shift. Trust me, something will shift. If the answer is no, then ask yourself, well, what can I do instead? And then just use that moment, whether I don't care, you could say, you know what? I'm gonna put on my favorite song and I'm gonna dance my tushy off in the kitchen here. I'm gonna be, just energetic. Or maybe I'm gonna take a few deep breaths, or maybe I'm gonna take some water, or maybe I'm gonna walk outside, maybe I'm gonna brush my teeth. I don't know. But you're not doing that to avoid that feeling. You're doing that to welcome it because you already know it's there. And you're like, you know what? Actually, let's push the pause button on this. I don't want to do this right now. The answer is no. And that way you'll be able to start setting firm, clear boundaries with yourself. And chances are you're going to come up with a solution that leads you away from the binge and towards safety, where you'll continue to practice that again and again and again. Since you'll always get good at what you practice, this will help to rewire your brain to seek understanding instead of punishment. Number 3, start practicing neutral language around food and around yourself and around your behavior. Since so many of those diets are contradicting and they label foods as being good or bad, that can get super complicated and confusing. So try and shift away from like, ugh, I ate this, I was so bad, to, all right, I ate more than I probably needed. And I'm going to learn from that because I don't like heartburn. I don't like a bellyache and I don't like this full feeling. So I actually like caring about myself. So I don't want to go into that direction. That doesn't work for me anymore. Maybe once upon a time that worked. Today it's not working anymore. And then you'll be able to make simple little decisions. I don't care if you don't take one extra bite, it's still going to be better than if you take 5 extra bites, right? So it's like, just go ahead and decide to help yourself try on a new version of yourself on for size instead of it having to be all or nothing. Another example is like, oh, I noticed that I was doing X, Y, or Z before my mind turned to food. And then think about it. And instead of convincing yourself that that's how you're supposed to feel if you're in your position, just start to change the mindset and start to say, I'm going to notice that again and see what changes in the situation. And I'm going to be gentle with myself until I can trust myself with more confidence. And language creates reality. This one shift alone can help you stop labeling yourself and start seeing yourself as a whole person, not as a problem to solve. All right, so let's wrap this up. Breaking free from the diet mentality isn't about doing it perfectly or about all or nothing. What got you here is not going to get you there. So you're going to want to notice when you're leading towards that all or nothing mindset, towards labeling yourself for being good or bad, or towards convincing yourself to sabotage your own best interest. All we want to do is focus on staying in a solutions mindset, noticing when old patterns and habits are coming up, meeting yourself right where you're at with love, kindness, and compassion, and then making tiny micro decisions that can help you shift into building a new foundational relationship with yourself over time. And remember, it's not your fault. You're stuck in this mindset right now because you're doing the best that you can do. You've always just been doing the best that you can with whatever it is that you know at the time. You've been conditioned for decades, and some of your thoughts have been pre-programmed from your youth, but you can change. Everyone can. The only choice is yours. And I want you to start convincing yourself to be courageous, brave, and to take one gentle moment at a time. Remember, I am here to walk you through it. And I've been there before. So now that I'm through it, I do want to help you get out of this, because when I was in it, it wasn't that fun. And life on the other side is actually fun. Once you get through those fears, you're going to see that all of that pain that you've experienced is really just the painful contractions that are going to have to take place to birth you into the next version of yourself. Your future self is waiting for you. Let's come and get her. All right. If this episode resonates with you, I want you to go ahead and hit the like and the subscribe button. And please leave me a comment. I would love, love, love to hear from you. I answer all the comments personally. This week in the show notes, we have a link for you to sign up for the 3 simple steps to stop self-sabotage and emotional eating so that you can love yourself from the inside out. If you're listening to this episode beyond when that class is coming up, totally cool. You'll be directed to go ahead and see the replay of the class that we did. So you'll actually be able to participate in that class no matter when you're listening to this episode. And we also have in the show notes the Self-Love Starter Kit. That's a cool little training that pairs off with this particular masterclass. These are 2 amazing personal growth and development opportunities that I think you're just going to love. All right. And if you're ready to dive in a little bit deeper, we have a couple of options for you. Number 1, you can join my free Facebook community, and there's a link in the show notes here. It's the Women's Emotional Eating Community Support Group on Facebook. It's a very safe space to share and heal together. The second option is to go ahead and sign up for the Mindset Makeover. It's a little beginner's course that we have, and it's always available for you to start anytime. It's a self-paced course. And of course, my favorite is when you book a one-on-one call with me. Called a clarity call or a food freedom discovery call. I like to share some time with you, and I really am interested in your story. So please don't be hesitant to just book a call, and that way we can talk and have some personal time together. All right, until next time, you keep showing up for yourself. You are worth it, my friend. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye for now. All right, my beautiful friend, that brings us to the end of another episode from the Crush Cravings with Confidence podcast. I hope you enjoyed listening today and took something from our conversation that you are going to put into immediate action. I love spending time with you and would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with at least one friend today who you think might be struggling too. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any other amazing topics. And please, please do leave me a review. It would mean the world to me. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.